We should have a huge audience on today, so I'm excited that you guys joined us. We're going to have an epic webinar all dedicated to about New York and shooting high fashion because Fashion Week starts coming up this week, and we are really excited about everything coming up, not only for New York Fashion Week, but also for our epic high fashion editorial photographic workshop that we have coming up in New York following Fashion Week, working with supermodels fresh off the runways that are in town from Milan, Paris, as well as all over the world, and of course, the heart of fashion in New York. So I'm really excited that you guys are joining us today because we have so many things to cover, and today is going to be a little bit different than most of our epic webinars because we're going to go a little bit more in depth today about what the New York Fashion Workshop experience is all about, what to expect, what it's like, what the experience, what to experience there on location, as well as in studio, and what type of world-class models that you're going to have access to, which is pretty incredible. So those of you guys who have attended the workshop before, I'd love for you guys to chime in and message me because I know some of you guys that are on right now have attended New York, and I'd love to hear from you as well. And as everyone else is jumping on, I'd love to also hear from you as far as I'm going to be putting up some polls. I'm interested in what type of photography do you guys specialize in? Because to me, this is important because it kind of helps me gauge and direct what we discuss today as far as with, if you're into fashion, if you're into editorial advertising fashion, because those are two very different things. If you're into publishing magazines or you want to shoot, ad campaigns for Burberry or Dolce Gabbana or something, or if you're into lifestyle advertising, portraiture, wedding photography, landscape and fine art, swim and glamour, that could also include boudoir, as well as photojournalism. So those are, generally most of the different topics of photography, the different types, and I'd love to know what you guys specialize in. Now, I know many of you do a lot, so think about what it is that you do the most of, what you are the most passionate about, because that's what I'm, most interested in, is finding out, as far as from those of you guys who are on right now, what is it that you guys do the most of, and what you want to explore and learn most about as well. Also, those of you guys who are panelists, I'm going to be bringing on some incredible photographers today that are panelists, and I'm excited to introduce them to you guys. Some of them have jumped on in the past, and some of are brand new photographers that I want to showcase, and ones that have actually experienced our epic high-end photographic workshops. So pretty awesome, and I would love to hear their perspectives as well. All right, guys. So without further ado, I want to start with, telling you a little bit about myself and, kind of what my background is. So I'm Kevin Michael Schmitz, and I'm a celebrity fashion advertising photographer. I specialize in high fashion advertising. In fact, I just shot a couple of campaigns for Burberry this year. I also have one coming up for Giorgio Armani, and I also shoot massive scale lifestyle advertising campaigns, and as well as for beverage, beauty, and fragrance. But I would say my bread and butter is high-end fashion advertising and lifestyle advertising. I've also been published in over 200 magazines, editorials, and I shoot high-level commercials in addition to photography. So I definitely have done that transition. So in addition to being a fashion advertising photographer, I also shoot commercials for brands, for ad campaigns, for them as well. And I also, in addition to that, handle not only the camera operation, I'm also doing the cinematography, the directing, the producing, and often even the media buy as well. To see, some of my work, this is my fashion photography. And by the way, some of the most incredible and iconic images that I've ever shot in my career, believe it or not, have been actually at these photographic workshops, so the photography workshop series. In fact, in not only in my fashion portfolio, including this right here at kevinschmitz.com, you get to see an image that is probably most dear to my heart, this image from an epic fashion photography workshop that we did at our Elite Masterclass, which we have another one coming up in October. In fact, at the Elite Masterclass, from this scene, one of our photographers that attended actually won #1 fashion photographer in the world award by attending that workshop, which I was really excited about. And you can also see some of the epic stuff that we've shot with Flaunt magazine that we've been featured from our photographic experiences. This is also from the masterclass, or one-on-one workshops like this one that we brought in supermodels like Christina Scheiter and shot up in Malibu, or these other epic sequences like we do at our Mad Men vintage editorial story in Chicago. But this is a very different version of my work than what you see in my lifestyle advertising body of work, right? Now, this is a whole different body of work. This is more of my ad campaign work. So if you guys, want to get into lifestyle advertising, it's a very different branding experience. And we also offer world-class photographic workshop experiences in lifestyle advertising as well. We have one in Newport Beach in February, as well as we have one in Miami Beach, which is both resort lifestyle and swim. And then we also have one in Chicago that is basically half fashion and half lifestyle, as well as the equestrian lifestyle workshop in Virginia and DC. So anyway, so that gives you a little bit of an idea of who I am. And I want to go in depth about, okay, what is the New York Fashion Photography Workshop experience all about, and why to get involved, why to attend. I know I do a lot of different webinars on all different types of photography and topics of photography, but today I thought we'd actually discuss the New York Fashion Photography Workshop experience, because so many of my photographers have a lot of questions. And probably one of the most common questions that I get is, okay, if I'm going to be photographing at the New York Fashion Experience, what does the experience entail? What can I expect? Well, I'll tell you, this was a sequence, and in fact, this is the cover of our website at photographyworkshopseries.com. And this gives you a little bit of an idea of what to expect. Essentially, you're going to get the opportunity to photograph the most epic, world-class, high-end fashion photography images you've ever shot in your career, guaranteed. And that's a pretty bold statement. But we've been doing this for 13 years. We've directed 154 elite workshops. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you, you will shoot the greatest high fashion images you've ever shot in your lifetime at the High Fashion Workshop in New York. And we've been doing this one for many years. And in the last 13 years, our photographers have never disappointed. In fact, just in this last year alone, we have won 107 awards from the Photography Workshop Series, all directed, art directed, and produced by me, and shot by our incredible photographers. Here are some of the winners. I know some of you guys are on right now, including Evan Siegel. So it's good to see you, buddy. He won #5 fashion photographer in America, which I'm super proud about. And I know I might have mentioned this on some of prior webinars, but it's something that's so spectacular that it really makes me excited. And I love to talk about the successes of our incredible photographers, because guys like Evan Siegel, you're a world-class photographer, and I'm really honored and pleased that I've had the opportunity to work with you, Evan. Also, Evan, if you would want to jump on and actually talk to our audience here, let me know, shoot me a message, because I would love to and be honored to have you actually talk from personal experience about the photographic workshops as well. So just let me know. I'd love for you to jump on as well. But we have all these incredible photographers joining us. So anyway, throughout these awards, 7 out of 10 of the top fashion photographers in America this last year were from the Photography Workshop Series in the One Island Awards, including 2 of these images right here that you get to see. So the image on the bottom middle and the top middle were shot by Enoch Chan, and he attended the New York Fashion Experience and won awards with that, which was really, really spectacular. So mind-blowing images, and to get that world-class content, it really catapulted these photographers to the next level. And that's what really makes me excited, because I love to see photographers take it to the next level and achieve the opportunity to basically have the production of their dreams in front of them. And, and that's one of the reasons, one of the questions a lot of photographers ask is, okay, in the Photography Workshop Series, why? Why do I need to do this? All right, well, I want to talk about this, because one of the challenges many photographers have is that, you might be limited by the location that you're in. You know, maybe you're in a rural area. Maybe you're in a city, but it's not a major market. I talked to some photographers this week that were in like Houston, Texas, that were in Idaho, that were in these kind of New Mexico and these random markets. And that's fantastic. We have photographers from all over America and almost, you know, in some places that are, you know, rural areas or some places that are cities, but maybe they're third or fourth tier markets for the photographic industry. They're not New York or LA. That's okay. One of the biggest benefits of the photography workshop series, as you can see in these images right here, is that when you attend our photographic workshop, such as the one in New York coming up, you'll have the opportunity to be able to shoot at a scale level in production that is equivalent of what you'd be able to shoot for Vogue magazine. You'd be at that highest level so you can achieve images with models from Vogue, models that have been in Vanity Fair, models that have been in Elle magazine, models that have been in the Versace campaign. I mean, that's a big deal. And to be able to have access to the best models in the world makes a huge difference in your photographic career. So having content like this with these supermodels, it really makes a difference to have these faces in your book. You might not have access to models like this in places like Idaho or New Mexico or Michigan or, you know, most places, even other markets like in Texas or in, you know, Virginia or in, you know, in many, many markets in America, there's only a few where you'll have access to these supermodels. That's one of the biggest benefits that my photographers have by flying in and joining us in New York for the high fashion photography workshop series that we have coming up in New York, because they have access to the best of the best talent in the world, the level of production that's equivalent of $100,000 a day production. So when you get to walk away with a $500,000 level of production under my guidance, under my wing, with all my connections, you get access to the biggest supermodels. And not only did you photograph the greatest images of your lifetime, but you also have access to my connections. And that is something that most photographers don't realize. We don't really talk about it as much on these webinars, but one of the greatest advantages is that you'll have access to my connections. And to me, that's a really, really big deal. I want you guys to have access to the creme de la creme, to the best stylists in the world, the best models, the best agencies, to be able to connect with these incredible locations. And you know what? It's a huge advantage to photographers, especially, you know, in both if you are from a different area and you're flying into New York, or if you live in New York and you want to have access to those top agencies, top stylists, top models in New York. That's also very, very, very valuable. So that's one of the greatest things and huge advantages of coming to the workshop. Another great question I always get is, how many photographers attend these workshops? Am I going to be lost in a sea of, you know, all these different photographers, and it's going to be, you know, just me and a whole, you know, mess of people? Could not be further from the truth. In the photography workshop series, you know, I have been doing this for so long that I've designed these workshops to be very carefully calibrated so that we have a very small group of photographers that are attending, and I'm very careful about who attends to make sure the experience is world class, to make sure that when you're on set that you feel like it's just you photographing. That's really important to me, because I want you to have an experience of a lifetime that you'll never forget, and for you to be able to command a set where it's just you and the models, and you can photograph and film the greatest content that you've ever shot in your lifetime. And so what we do is each workshop's a little bit different, but we generally have between 10 and 12 photographers at each one of our photographic experiences for you to photograph and film content like this. And by the way, this was shot by our attendees, that they were able to operate camera. So not only did this video reel go out to the attendees to get access, full access to the video that they can use. So you've got this epic video reel that would cost a huge budget to be able to do on your own. And obviously the photographic images that you'll have access to as well, because you're photographing. I also get the question asked quite a bit about, okay, there's a group of photographers. Are my images going to look different than other photographers' images at the workshop? And the answer to that is absolutely. Your images are going to be different because it's you photographing it. It's you that are the creator. And each photographer comes in with a very different look, feel, and style. Now, of course, if you want to shoot a setup scene that I art direct, that that you or some of the other photographers are going to create, that's great. You can photograph that. But also, if you want to create something new, fresh, different, and shoot something that is totally different, that's all you as well. And to create these mind-blowing images that are standalone, that kind of become iconic. This was shot at the last New York experience over the skyline, looking over all of Manhattan. This was amazing. This was absolutely spectacular, making this model look almost like she's 10 feet tall. It was epic. This insane wardrobe styling, mind-blowing location, world-class top supermodel. It was something that was right out of a dream. And I really was excited about this experience because the images that the photographers created were all vastly, vastly different. And we're able to create stuff that, photographers use back in their market. So if you are, a photographer coming in from another state and you fly into New York, you get to fly back home with images that'll blow the mind of everybody back where you're from. They take it to a whole nother level. You get to come back with that New York fashion level body of work like you're shooting for Vogue. That's what it's all about. And by the way, I'm just launching the poll results here right now, and it looks like from many of you guys answered, almost all of you, which is fantastic, 84%. So of you guys, it looks like the majority of you are portrait photographers that you specialize in. That's fantastic. Now, this is another great question that a lot of portrait photographers ask me is, hey, I shoot portraits, I shoot families, I shoot headshots. How is this applicable to me? All right, great question. One of the biggest challenges that a lot of portrait photographers have is that they showcase their work of the people that paid them, meaning just regular consumers that hire you to photograph them, and then you showcase, images that you photographed of them on your website. Okay, now that's not always bad, but I can tell you what, clients are looking at glossy magazines like this, looking at these supermodels like you're looking at right now. They're looking at this every day, right? So clients, and I don't care if they're portrait clients or even if it's senior pictures or if it's headshots, whatever, everybody aspires to have that incredible glossy, look like you'd be on Vanity Fair. Everybody wants that in some way or another, whether they admit it or not. So my question to you is, do you feel like showcasing regular average people in your portfolio that might be, 100 pounds overweight, or might not be the most attractive people, or might not have the best aesthetic look? Do you feel like that's going to give you a higher end brand, or are images like this going to give you the higher end brand? Well, I can tell you what, this will take the cake any day. This will give you the gravitas, the credibility, and to be able to showcase content like this, I mean, it's that drop the mic kind of feel, because images like this will knock the socks off of your clients that are portrait clients, that are headshot clients, that are clients that want you to shoot their wedding. In fact, I have a lot of wedding photographers that they end up taking the New York workshop because they don't want to be seen as just a boring wedding photographer that just shoots weddings. I recommend wedding photographers should brand themselves as a world-class fashion photographer that happens to shoot weddings. It's a very different perspective. Sounds simple, but it's something that many wedding photographers completely miss the boat. And they often showcase content of their regular customers, which nobody wants to see. And I get photographers that then say, well, yeah, but my customers, they want to see real normal people. No, they don't. That has never been the case. And if it was, then I tell you what you would see. You would see the cover of every bridal magazine as regular 300-pound women on the cover of every bridal magazine, right? Gracing the covers. Well, I got news for you. That's not what's gracing the cover of bridal magazines, because they want to sell advertising space. So look who's on the cover of a bridal magazine. They're all supermodels and celebrities. That's it. That's all you'll ever see on bridal magazines. Okay. So if you want to compete at the higher level, you go to that bride that wants to book you on a $10,000 wedding or $15,000 wedding job, Are they going to look at some mediocre, photography of mediocre people, or are they more interested in seeing a world-class fashion photographer that happens to shoot weddings? They're going to be more interested in this. Just like we did this epic fashion wedding story at my 49-room 13th century castle that I own in France, and we shot a sequence like this. They're going to be way more interested in working with you if you have content that looks like this. And by the way, we have an epic fashion photography workshop at my 49-room castle where you get to stay at the castle. This is the only workshop that we have this. And we have a section in September of 2023 that we are filling up, and it is epic because not only will you get to stay in this unbelievable 49-room castle for 6 days, 5 nights, and includes a stay, but you'll also get to photograph with world-class supermodels that are in town. We'll fly them in from Milan and Paris, and you get to stay with the models, photograph them throughout the week, and create the greatest images you've ever imagined with a very Renaissance and Baroque era feel. We have incredible costuming. We're bringing in Frisian horses like you see here. We have Renaissance era carriages. We have massive, unbelievable, hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of wardrobe that we're bringing in, and some of the best models in the world. And since I own the location, it's at my own castle. It's on 12 acres. It's something where we can do literally anything imaginable at that castle location. So if you guys are interested in something like that, that would catapult you to a whole different level of your photographic career. Okay, now I had another great question. So GC Hung just asked, what is the cost involved in the New York photography workshop? So great question, GC. So all of our workshops, they range. They have 5-day sections. They also have, you can do 4 days, 3 days, or 2 days. And that's specifically for the main section workshops in New York, Los Angeles, Newport Beach, Miami Beach, Virginia, and so on. So in Chicago. So all of the workshops mainland here in the United States, they all are 5-day experiences. And you have the option of taking anywhere between 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, and 5 days. So let me break down the costs and what you can experience and what you can expect at the New York Fashion Photography Workshop Experience. So, and it's all found, of course, on photographyworkshopseries.com. But I want to showcase the details and then what you get as far as how much they are for each section and what each section entails, what that's all about. Okay, so the first day, it's going to be in studio. The first day, and I'll replay this video because this was actually shot on the first day of a workshop. This first section here with a supermodel, we were shooting in studio on day one. So day one will include half of the day shooting high fashion, just like that in studio. And then we will also be shooting, and we typically have 2 studios going on simultaneously. We bring in top models, and then we're going to be photographing 2 entire sets simultaneously, whether it's in one studio, 2 sets, or 2 separate sets. So it depends on the production days. And then we're also going to be talking about the business side of photography, how to maximize your marketing, how to maximize usage fees, creative fees, how to earn more money, make more money per shoot so that you don't have to work as much. Or we also discuss how to book more clients if you want to be booked all the time, how to land fashion lookbooks with clients where they shoot quarterly, and also shooting fashion advertising versus fashion editorial. Editorial meaning shooting for Flaunt Magazine, Number 8 Magazine, Vogue, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, Elle, Sean, any of these amazing magazines. Or are we going to shoot for advertising, like when I shot for Burberry? Those are 2 very different things and very different budgets. So we get in depth about that, the difference between it, how to market to those clients, and what that all means. Then we talk about how to connect the dots between the mind-blowing photographic portfolio you're going to create with me at the New York Photographic Workshop Experience, and then afterwards, how you're going to land the clients. Now, here are all the details on photographyworkshopseries.com. And I encourage you, GC, to also set up a one-on-one strategy session about what your photographic goals are, and to get on board with, we actually offer and are offering right now a free photographic strategy session, a momentum session with our audience here to jump on and speak to one of my professional photographic consultants about maximizing your photographic career and taking it to the next level. And also, if you have any detailed questions about the New York workshop or any of the other workshops, they can answer that as well. I just put the link in the chat. Now, so day one, you'll get involved with shooting for basically half of the day, massive scale production in studio with supermodels. You're also going to be filming with 8K cameras and gimbals. You're also going to be photographing day two with another massive scale production. This is a fashion lookbook day. So just like what I recommend a lot of fashion photographers do in their careers is, in addition to fashion editorial to get notoriety, getting published. I've been published in over 200 magazines and 10 covers, and I recommend you guys do that as well. But also, I recommend shooting lookbooks for designers. And what that means are lookbooks are essentially like a catalog. That's the best description of it. And it's something that a fashion lookbook is something where it's shot quarterly for a brand. In fact, this is one of my lookbooks campaigns for a brand, and basically you shoot this, fall, basically fall, winter, spring, summer. So each season you shoot for them, and they have a budget for you to shoot their lookbook. The lookbook is something that they use. Generally, they send this on to they're going to distribute to showrooms as well as department stores, and they want to get department stores to carry their newest line. So a lot of fashion brands will shoot lookbooks. So I did a lot of this earlier in my career because it's a good way to make some extra money. It's usually make $10,000 to $30,000 per shoot, and if you do it quarterly, that can add up, and especially if you have like 4 or 5 clients doing that. So it's a great way for a fashion photographer to make it, GC. And that's something that we're going to be doing on day 2, shooting a massive scale production, full day of production. It starts at 9 a.m. With us prepping hair, makeup, and wardrobe for the models. Photographer's call time is noon, and then we're going to be shooting till about 7 p.m. Around dark, and we're going to be creating the most mind-blowing images you've ever shot in your lifetime. And that's day 1 and 2. So the pricing, day 1 and 2 is $58.95, and that entails those 2 massive scale days of shooting, as well as learning all aspects of art direction, storytelling, and making money in photography. We also highly recommend doing more than that, right? So doing 3 days, photographing a high fashion editorial on location. This is when we go out on location. So whether we're out at a castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s, and shooting, these are some of the images shot at the on location days. In fact, I think this was on a day 3 last year. We shot out on a rooftop, and this is on location. This is the stuff that I mostly get excited about because I'm an on location guy. Studio is important. It's good to have that in your quiver, but I love to go on location and to create these mind-blowing images that are going to completely boggle the mind of your clients. So it's a whole massive scale additional shoot day on day 3, but going out on location. Also, the New York workshop experience, we generally coordinate everything. So it's up to you if you want to rent a car, but we often also carpool with our photographers together, and we transport them to the location if it's outside of the city, which it often is. We generally are shooting for a couple of days in the city and then a few of the days out in Long Island. So just depends on the locations, and we coordinate in those final details right up until the week before the workshop. So then on day 4, this is the next level where we're going to be shooting at another epic location. This was shot on a day 4 of a New York fashion workshop. This is shooting out on location. This happened to be an epic location that was a castle designed to be identical to King Henry's palace from the 1500s. And we shot this mind-blowing fashion story. And the photographers that attended got this published. In fact, this one was actually shot by a portrait and wedding photographer. And she went from charging just a couple $1,000s a wedding to charging $10,000 and $12,000 a wedding after this, because she branded herself as a world-class fashion photographer that happens to shoot weddings. So day 4, we're going to be out on location at another location, shooting mind-blowing content that is completely over the top, creating content that is just like bar none on another planet. And each day gets more and more and more over the top and ridiculous as we go. So then day 5, we are going to go out on location again at another location and shooting incredible, mind-blowing content for a 5th day. And the reason why it's good to do all 5 days is we recommend that for any master portfolio that you're going to create a 40 image cohesive body of work. Now, this has been told to me by photographic reps, photographic agents that represent some of the most famous photographers in the world. And we've actually had some of them come on as panelists at our in-person workshops, at our masterclass, such as George Perez Reps, who reps some of the most famous fashion photographers in the world, like JP Reps here. You actually can see his website, and he used to be my rep for like 4 years. And JP Reps, he reps some of the most famous photographers like John Russo, who shoot every week. He's shooting Harper's Bazaar, he's shooting Vogue, he's shooting Vanity Fair, he's shooting all the biggest celebrities. And one of the things that George Perez always discusses is how you need that 40 image cohesive body of work. It's got to be epic, it's got to be world class, and it's got to be something that completely is full of iconic images. So out of that 40 image cohesive body of work, I would recommend that you have at least 30 iconic images, and you have 40 super strong images. So, 30 iconic and 10 super strong. If you can get away with 15 to 20 iconic and the rest really strong, that's great. But make sure you don't have anything weak. Make sure that everything you have is world class. Make sure that all of your content is unbelievable, over the top, and is going to impress and wow and dazzle the clientele. Something that you would feel comfortable sharing with Anna Wintour, the editor of Vogue. Something that is going to just knock the socks off of your clients, whether you're a portrait photographer, commercial photographer, fashion photographer, whatever you do, even swim and glamour. You want something that is going to wow and dazzle the competition. Okay. So the New York Fashion Experience has the 2-day, the 3-day, the 4-day, and most importantly, the 5-day workshop experience. Now, most photographers end up doing all 5 days. And the reason is even if they enroll in like a couple of days, they usually end up signing up for the additional days because they realize how over the top and ridiculous the production is, because it's so incredible. All the details are provided for you. We have it catered by world-class chefs. We've got a whole team of world-class assistants at your fingertips, making sure every detail of the production is perfect. We've got supermodels that we're bringing in on these days, and we're shooting with multiple models on each shoot day so that you have a huge variety of world-class talent and styling to shoot with. So that gives you a little bit of an idea. Now, it is an investment. That is true. But the reason that it's an investment is because the cost of your business is not free. And this is something that I really wanted to discuss, is that so many photographers don't really think about their photography as a business. And you know what? That's exactly what it is. I think that so many photographers, if you wanted to compare this to something like, do you know anyone that would ever start a business such as a doctor's office, a dental office, starting a restaurant or a cafe, or starting a business that is, I don't care if it's an electrician or a plumber, or no matter what the business is, or a tech company, it doesn't even matter. No matter what the business that you start, I guarantee you, there is a large investment into that business. There is cost for equipment. There is cost for a location, maybe a business office. Okay, might be a cost for staff, hiring employees, hiring people to manage it, paying for the lease, paying the taxes, paying all the details, all the costs involved. Most importantly, you've got to invest in your sales and your marketing and your brand. Every business, I don't care what it is. And for some reason, photographers, and I'm sure many of you are guilty of this, don't invest in your business. And I don't mean buying equipment. That's not investing in your business. That's nothing. Buying the equipment is almost irrelevant. I get booked on a shoot, and I often rent a lot of the equipment because it's in another city. So you don't even need to own much equipment to be a successful photographer. But what you do need to invest in, and I promise you, because I've been doing this a long time, and I've been shooting as an advertising photographer my whole career, and a commercial director. I'm also a TV director, executive producer, and host of the TV show Great Escapes that airs on CBS. And I, which actually I'll showcase to you now so you guys can see the video production that I also shoot with. But I can tell you what, no matter what I'm doing, whether it's television, whether it's commercial advertising, whether it's fashion photography, even the workshops, everything that I have, every business that I have, including my castle, I am investing heavily in my business. And if you're not, then don't ever expect for your photography business or video production business to ever succeed. Because if you're not investing money into it and massive amounts of time in your marketing, your social media, your sales, and then, and it's never going to happen. Your business will never succeed. I'm sorry, it just won't. I mean, some people tell me, oh, it's word of mouth and stuff like that. Well, that's great until that word of mouth dries up, because that word of mouth isn't going to last, getting you to the very top of the industry and crushing it over the course of 30 years, landing $200,000 ad campaigns on a regular basis. It doesn't work that way. Even the most famous photographers in the world, it's not just word of mouth. They market heavily, constantly, relentlessly. So I want you guys to realize that I don't care what the business is, you've got to invest in your business. And that's why I developed the Photography Workshop Series, because it's the best way to do it. I started out the hard way. I spent over $200,000 on my photographic education. I did my bachelor's in photography, my master's of fine arts in photography, and I started out with nothing. I had no money. I didn't have any financial investment from my parents. All I did was I scratched from the bottom and I hustled. And I've been working since I'm 12 years old, and I've been hustling every step of the way to get to where I am now. And I can tell you, I can guarantee you that the content, the photography and the video content you shoot at our workshops is equivalent if you were to spend 7 to 10 years trying to direct this on your own, trying to scratch your way from where you're at now to where you want to be able to shoot the level of content that I've been showcasing today, because that's costly. The cost of the wardrobe stylist, the hairstylist, the makeup artist, the production costs, the assistants, the permits, the locations, the cost of it is immense. That's why the scale of these productions is equivalent of $100,000 a day production that I would be charging a client when I'm shooting a campaign. So for you to get it at such an enormously discounted rate, there's nothing else like it. And that's why it's such a huge advantage, GC, is because what you're dealing with is world-class level of production where you don't have to put out of pocket hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can jump in and take a 5-day photographic workshop for only $14,990, and you can have access to the most epic top models in the world, the top stylists that if you were to book the stylists that I bring on board, if you were to book them just for the shoot alone for 5 days, 5 times, it's typical $2,500 a day, plus 2 days pull, 2 days return. Okay. So if that's the cost, you're looking at, what is that? 9 times 2,500, that's $22,500 just for the wardrobe stylist alone, plus their styling assistant, plus the buying fee, the rental fees from the showrooms. You're looking at $25,000 to $30,000 in total for styling, period. That's just stylists. Now the models, oftentimes these models, they are at the level of anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 a day models. We have anywhere between 2 models and 4 models per day times 5 days. You see, everything adds up, and the cost of production to do it right is expensive. And that's one of the greatest things about the Photography Workshop Series, is it's designed specifically for photographers to get so much out of this without having to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars and 10 years of pain and suffering along the way, because it's blood, sweat, and tears otherwise. That's why I designed the workshop series 13 years ago, because I saw a huge missing in the industry. Photographic education, doing it the way I did, getting my bachelor's and master's of fine arts, it's not enough. I just got out of school with a ton of debt, and all I had to show for it was a mediocre student portfolio. And then I actually hustled to be able to get to where I am now by just connecting with top stylists, shooting editorials, making zero money along the way with the publicity type of shoots, and trying to scratch my way on small scale shoots, moving up the lookbooks, then into advertising, fashion advertising, lifestyle advertising, and then commercials, and being able to shoot now at a level that I never even thought, at the beginning of my career was doable. But I made it to a point where I'm creating content that is iconic. And I want you to be able to catapult to the top immediately with iconic images like this, because you're able to do it. You're capable of doing it, because just joining us at one of these workshop experiences, you can get there. All right, I have another great question from and Daniel Quad, which by the way was a fantastic meeting you the other day. But generally, yeah, so many people. We talked about this earlier, but essentially, there's we limit it to usually 10 to 12, depending on the workshop. So they're very, very selective, very limited, and we're also very careful about who we bring on to the workshop, because I want to make sure that you're going to have a quality experience. I want to make sure that everybody at the workshop is going to be a world-class photographer, that even if they are not super experienced, they're going to be a world-class person to deal with, and I can make them a world-class photographer. So that's something that's also very important to me. And I would really recommend that you guys get involved in one of these experiences, and also think about how much you have to invest in your photographic portfolio and your photographic business. And I actually just launched a poll here, and I encourage all of you guys to answer it, because I am interested in knowing how much do you want to spend in your photographic portfolio. Me personally, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on my photographic portfolio and my video reel, because it's paid off. And I invest a huge amount into myself yearly on workshops, even myself. I attend workshops on all kinds of things. I am constantly growing, educating myself, becoming better, and constantly advancing. So I develop stuff. I'm investing in myself constantly. And a lot of it does come out of pocket. But the thing is I also, there's a way that I can connect the dots to be able to make that into a very financially lucrative business. And that's something that you learn at the New York Fashion Photography Workshop. So it's very, very important. And those of you guys who don't invest in themselves, and that, you guys are not really, spending any money on your business, I would ask you why. Because you know what, if you opened a restaurant, but you didn't spend any money on, getting advertising out there, marketing out there, you didn't, develop a portfolio of a menu of amazing food, you didn't hire chefs, you didn't have tables, you didn't have dining equipment, or cooking equipment, and your business would fail immediately. So why would you think as a photographer it would be any different? It's not. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same as only opening a restaurant, or opening a medical office, or opening up a financial investment firm. It's a business. So you guys have to treat it as such. And the best way to do that is to invest in your business in the smart way. I wouldn't recommend wasting money on SEO and Facebook ads if you don't have a world-class portfolio with iconic images to back it up. I wouldn't waste money on hiring employees. It's not really worth it as a photographer. You're an individual. You don't need employees unless you're going to hire people to specifically do marketing for you every day, and you're going to work with them intensely. But other than that, it's not really necessary. Oftentimes, you don't even need a studio. I think studios are pretty passé. There are certain circumstances where they can be necessary, but I've never had a studio, and I never want to. I rent studios for when I go out and do big productions. But there's a lot of other things that I would invest my money in. And the number one thing is my portfolio. Number two thing is going to be my marketing of that portfolio, because you need your photographic brand and your portfolio, but then you need that 40-image cohesive body of work. And then you have to market it using LinkedIn, using Instagram, using Facebook, using direct email, personalized email, and most importantly, calling. Investing in a CRM, making sure you can keep track of all the information, all your communication, or investing. I spoke to a photographer yesterday that he had invested in Agency Access, which was and there's also Bikini List and Yoda List, where they're databases of all the decision makers in the world that hire photographers to book them on shoots. That's another great way to do it, because you've got to have, that's another investment. And it's something that is really important. If you want to be successful, you've got to invest in your photographic business. And there's certain smart things to invest in, and there's certain not smart things to invest in. And that's something that we can help you with. That's something we can guide you with. It's something that when you set up your one-on-one strategy session with one of our photographic consultants, they can help you with that every step of the way, because that's a big part of what we do. And the coolest thing about what we do, you guys, is that we work with our photographers before the workshops, during the workshops, and then after the workshops are all long said and done, we work with you ongoing to make sure that you can excel at the greatest level of your potential that you're willing to participate at. And we help guide our photographers. We stick with you. We're not interested in photographers falling off the map. We never see them again. We want to work with you. We want you to be successful. Like this photographer that you see right here, this that shot this. This is a photographer named Nick Seth Smith, who used to be in a different industry. He was in the tech industry. I think he was like CIO of Goldman Sachs, and then left that to be a photographer. Was making small amounts of money, a few $100s here and there for shooting headshots and portraits. And he came and attended our Elite Masterclass and our New York workshop. And now Nick has booked $40,000 in shoots, consumer shoots. I think it was with weddings and portraiture from this image. Now, even though it's a fashion image, it was something that was able to book him shoots. And that's a big deal. So for me, I really want to make sure that our photographers are successful. So we work ongoing to make sure that you connect the dots between where you're at now and where you can be with the epic images that you create at the workshops. Super, super important to me because I'm dedicated to my photographers, and so are our amazing photographic consultants that we have on hand, because we're here to guide you and coach you and mentor you every step of the way. And that's really important to me. And it's something that I am very passionate about, making sure that our photographers feel cared about, are taken care of, and making sure that they are succeeding at the level that they always wanted to achieve. Really, really important to me. And it's something that I do not rest until my photographers advance themselves in their career. Okay, so very, very, very critical and important. Okay, and guys, feel free to please ask any more questions in the Q&A. And also, great to see you, Felinda. I see you're talking to us from England, so fantastic. And I know you spent some time in Orléans in France and near the Loire, and now you're in England. So good to see you. And we have a lot of familiar faces on here. We have the great Brad Derry. We have Carl Wu. Good to see you, buddy. Fantastic. I just spoke to Daniel Quat, I believe yesterday. We've got the great David Gesprecht, one of my favorite photographers. In fact, we were showing some of his epic images earlier on here. We also have some incredible photographers like Peter Lefevre, who's coming up. There's some epic workshops coming up, and Prince Williams, who's attended multiple workshops with us. Good to see you, Prince. Oh my gosh, we also have, of course, the great Evan Siegel, and I know Priscilla is going to be joining us here as one of our amazing panelists as well. So those of you guys, I know Brad, I know you're on here. I'm requesting you to be panelists. Hopefully it gives you a notification that you can rejoin as a panelist. That would be fantastic. I think it's just the thing in within Zoom here. Yep, there you go. All right, so good to see you. And I know we have a couple other people that we're going to join on as a panelist as well. All right, guys. So the New York experience, and of course, I'm showcasing some of the other experiences like our Elite Masterclass, which is also epic and mind-blowing. We also offer our lifestyle experiences. These were all shot between Newport Beach, Los Angeles at the Elite Masterclass in the lifestyle section, Colorado, Virginia, Miami, etc. So we also do those. And then we also do these incredible storytelling pieces like this, where we shot at LA Circus at our Elite Masterclass, which was pretty spectacular as well. And then this is something that I was really proud of, because our photographers at the Elite Masterclass designed a concept. This was actually designed by the great Michael Lylett, the whole Mad Max story. So he developed a creative brief with me, designed the idea, and then we executed a whole Mad Max fashion story that I was really, really excited about. This was an epic story, and I'm so proud of what we created, because this is completely over the top. It was absolutely ridiculous. And of course, the top models and massive scale production. So now New York, of course, is coming up. Masterclass has been pretty much sold out, but the New York experience, we do have a spot available. So if you guys want to join that, I highly, highly recommend you jump in, let us know ASAP. And not only if you enroll today, we can get you in all 5 days at the 2022 pricing, which next year goes up by $1,500, as it does every year, as inflation and everything else goes up, and the level of quality and production of our workshops go up. But we also, in addition to enrolling in the 5-day workshop, we're also offering the opportunity to get a full enrollment in any of our virtual photographic workshops. Now, our virtual photographic workshops, we have them on closing the deal, marketing for photographers, posing, art direction, and storytelling. We have one on retouching. We have one on branding for photographers. So we have all these different incredible photographic virtual workshops that that basically are 6-hour intensives that target the kind of the meat of what you need to know to be able to connect the dots from the amazing images you shoot at the workshops in New York to what you're going to do successfully as a world-class successful photographer. And it works for people that are in landscape, portraiture, fashion, lifestyle, swim, boudoir, fine art, all aspects. So even if you aren't a fashion photographer, but you're interested in something else, these also do apply to you because we talk about that as well. Now, so in addition to enrolling, when you enroll at the 5-day workshop in New York, all the incredible experience and value that you get, you'll also get one of these $1,300 virtual workshops for free when you enroll in one of the 5-day workshops like the New York one coming up. So if you enroll today. So if you guys do want to do that, that's a huge advantage and an amazing opportunity to get one of these 6-hour intensives on marketing yourself as a photographer, how to connect the dots, how kind of the secrets that I showcase of how I market at the highest level to achieve campaigns like Burberry. I showcase that and I show all my secrets, and it's an incredible workshop, but you get that free of charge when you join in that $1,300 value when you come to the 5-day workshop. And the reason we do this is because I want you to market these images. I don't want you to just, shoot these amazing images and sit on them. I want you to go out there and market these images because it's important to me that you guys succeed. It's very, very, very important. Okay, and David Leffer, how do I sign up for New York? Well, I can have them just message back with your contact information, and we can get you all set up and enrolled. And we can also include, David, let me know which one of the virtual workshops you want. If you want to do the posing, art direction, the masterclass and retouching, marketing for photographers, closing the deal, or branding for photographers. And by the way, the closing the deal and booking more clients, that's probably my personal favorite because it shows you some of the business side, the sales side, usage fees, creative fees, media buying, and how to make money at a really high level in photography. So, David, please message back with your personal contact info. You can do it directly to me, and I can have someone on my team get you all set up and enrolled in New York workshop as that last opportunity. And by the way, also GC Hung, you asked, do you require specific photography equipment for the New York photography workshop? A great question, GC. We don't require anything specifically because we have everything imaginable. Now, of course, most photographers bring their own camera equipment, and you can shoot with any camera that you want. But if you do want to use any of my gear, I also have a tremendous amount of world-class camera gear. I personally shoot with the Canon R5s. So we're shooting at a 45 megapixel camera with, it also films in 8K. So I have multiple R5s. I also have 1DX Mark IIIs, Canon 5D Mark IVs. I've got extra cameras. I've got a whole ton of them. So if you did want to use any of my gear, you are welcome to all my gear as well as all my lenses. I also recommended the New York experience. Generally, shooting fashion, I like to shoot with a long lens. So if I'm shooting fashion in studio, I often would shoot with a either a 70-200 or a 24-70. If I'm shooting fashion on location, I'm usually shooting a 24-70. So those are my favorite lenses. I personally love Canon, but obviously you can shoot with Nikon, Sony, Hasselblad, whatever you guys want. Every workshop we have, everybody kind of mixes between Sony, Nikon, Leica, Hasselblad, Canon, etc. So whatever camera that you feel most comfortable with, and I also recommend probably not tethering for this. I like to have it where you're you're kind of cord free, cable free. That way you can move about, especially when we're out on location. In studio, it's a little bit easier, but definitely. And thank you so much, David, for messaging over your email. If you could also message your phone number, and we can get you all set up and hook you up with that virtual workshop as well, and get you set up in New York. But I appreciate it, David. So I'm excited to see you there. It's going to be an experience that you will never forget. It's something that's on another level. So, all right. And if you guys have any other questions, please send them in the Q&A. That's the best. And I definitely want you guys to ask as many questions as possible, because now is a great opportunity to learn everything you wanted to know about the New York fashion experience. All right. So the next thing is a lot of photographers, they ask me, okay, when I'm on set, what does it feel like? What is the actual experience at being at the workshop like, right? What is it like to be there? And I can tell you the experience is all about you commanding the set. So you're in control. I'm there by your side, making sure that every image you photograph is to the highest level of your potential. You get to photograph, shoot your sequence, and I'm there to help guide you. So if it's not absolutely mind-blowing and iconic, I'm there to be like, all right, cool. Well, let's try it again. Let's try it this way. Let's try it that way. And we don't leave until your images are iconic and award-winning level. And that's why, as you can see, the images are at such a high level, they completely stand out and they're iconic, because we make sure that the images, when you come to a workshop, the images are all spectacular, that every sequence, you knock it out of the park. And it depends on the workshop, but you can expect that, we shoot anywhere between, I would say, 5 sequences to 15 sequences per shoot day, depending on the workshop. I know in our Miami Beach workshop, I think we shot like 15 or 16 sequences in a day, which was absolutely ridiculous. And, and some of them were a little bit more complex. So like we're shooting in the water studio at the masterclass. It's going to be maybe a fewer sequences because of the complexity of shooting something like this with a parachute out on a platform in the water. We might have only shot like 5 sequences that day. So it just depends on the workshop and the day, but each day is a action-packed day of as many scenes as we can shoot in a day, so you can walk away with that 40 image cohesive body of work with iconic images that will win you awards. Also, one of the best things too is one of the hot things right now that everybody wants is video. And video is something that I'm really passionate about myself, because I think that, to be a really successful photographer, you've got to have an epic video reel. So this is a video that we just did at the Las Vegas experience, and it's something that our photographers that attended, they got to operate gimbal, they got to film with 8K cameras, we shot with drones, and we created this unbelievable fashion content out on location in Las Vegas with supermodels from Vogue, and we're able to shoot this content that is just out of this world. We shot with camels, we shot with rearing horses, we shot with like Lipizzan stallions, speckled horses. We had hawks, eagles, owls. It was ridiculous. It was absolutely unbelievable experience that we'll never forget. And you'll be able to photograph and shoot video production out on location in New York at that experience. And all of the workshops that we do have a very heavy photographic and heavy video component to tie it together. That way you can have this on the front cover of your website to market to your clients, because that's really, really important to land both the photographic campaign and the video section of it. Very, very key. All right, guys. Now, if you have any more questions, please ask them. But I also want to invite some of our incredible panelists on, because we've got some amazing photographers that I would love to invite and showcase, because they've experienced these workshops, and I'd love to hear from them personally. So without further ado, I'd like to first ask the great Evan Siegel, because we're just looking at that amazing video of Las Vegas, and I believe Evan was there photographing at that day. And has experienced these workshops, in Vegas, in New York, in LA. He's experienced these workshops in Newport Beach. He's done the majority of the workshops that we do, and he's signed up for a whole series of more coming forward. So I'm really excited. So Evan, and great to see you, by the way, and welcome back. I know you've been traveling all over the world and traveling to Australia and all over. Why don't you tell us a little bit about, first of all, your experience shooting fashion with me in New York, Las Vegas, the masterclass, etc., and what how you kind of felt about shooting something iconic and what that means to you, because you won awards and that's a really big deal. So I want to know like how that felt to shoot something so iconic that it's winning awards.
Well, sure. Thank you, Kevin. And I appreciate, well, all of your people, Priscilla and your great assistants and marketing experts and you yourself. I've had a long photographic experience, and I've been mentored by some really terrific photographers, but this particular type of experience has been truly epic and truly different. For one thing, I mean, obviously, I understand how to use my camera equipment. I've done a lot of shooting on location as well as studio. But the combination, the synergy of having terrific models, terrific sets, and carefully designed setups, which I know you're responsible for most of them, as well as Priscilla, the bringing in of exotic animals, not as just props to get attention, but rather to be part of that integrated approach to the creation of images. All of those have led to an incredible experience for me, a consistently incredible experience for me that goes beyond what I've experienced before. And so that kind of synergy of the sets, the models, the story, the stories that are created, the editorial opportunities that are created, and frankly, your mentorship. I mean, I don't consider you a particularly subtle person, Kevin, but I will say without reservation that you have a very beautiful and subtle touch when you're helping out on the set. You're never intrusive, you're never shoulder watching, but you give very prescient little insights to making an image so much better. Even just a slight change of angle makes a big difference. And when you're shooting and you're trying to integrate all your own elements, it really does help sometimes to have someone say, you know, if you move to the left 1 foot, I think it'll be even better. So I've benefited by that in terms of my overall photography for the last now 3 years in your workshops, and very much appreciate the quality of the images and the opportunities that that you and your people have provided.
Well, thank you, Evan. I really appreciate it. And I actually want to showcase some of the images directly from the Dropbox that you shared with me. This was from New York last year. And when you're creating content like this, I mean, you can't go wrong with a model like this. I mean, the face is just stunning. Yeah. And I think that, you know, you're already a really talented photographer. You have, you know, an unbelievable world-class camera. What camera do you shoot with, Evan?
I'm using the GFX 100 series, the Fuji.
It's unbelievable equipment. Evan's got all the tools. But what makes it really special is when you have all of the ingredients. When you have all the ingredients of the shoot, meaning world-class supermodels with their faces that are just out of this world, incredible hair and makeup, mind-blowing wardrobe styling, even bringing in, you know, exotic animals, like we brought in like hawks and eagles and owls and things like that, but creating all those elements together with the production. And as you remember, Las Vegas was out of this world as far as, you know, props and, you know, animals and things like that. It leads to a world-class sequence. And even something like this that's shot in studio, the nuances of this are breathtaking. And I love the way you captured the scenes, because you're a super talented photographer. But you mentioned something, you're like, you know, when Kevin isn't intrusive, but he's giving guidance. And that's something that I would say that many photographers tell me that the reason they love coming to the workshops, it's not just because of the great models and the huge production, it's they learn art direction and the nuances of storytelling. And I think that that's something that I have worked with you and witnessed you master. And in fashion, and I would say even more so in lifestyle, your level of mastery. In fact, I'm publishing your work in the next issue of number 8 magazine, and multiple images that I'm really excited about, specifically some of the lifestyle content. And then we're working on deciding which, it's up to him as the owner of the magazine as far as which fashion images, but for sure the lifestyle stuff is going into print for the next issue. And the storytelling that we created together is really, really astounding. But Evan, why don't you tell me then about, okay, why you feel like having access to this level of production and the storytelling is a really good investment for our photographers.
Well, first of all, I think you hit the nail on the head. When you have the right components to create a piece of art, call it a piece of art, or a production, or an image, they have to all synergize. They have to all come together correctly. I've photographed some pretty good models in the past, but frankly, the models that you've provided in these workshops have consistently been of the absolute top quality. And they are guidable. They know what they're doing themselves, and you do need to direct them sometimes. But in general, even going on auto, they provide really how they hold their bodies, how they move, the expressions, and the flamboyance which you can bring out of them as well. I mean, studio productions are a little difficult sometimes, because while you can control the lighting precisely and the composition, the expressions, the movement, all can be kind of static. So you need to bring that out. And that ability of these models that you provide to help in creating each image is really, really outstanding. I mean, one of the images on the rooftop, you wouldn't know this yet because I just got the email. The International Photographic Awards has just awarded me a jurist pick in preparation for a possible win of one of the top prizes in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And one of those images from the top of the roof.
Is it this one, or which one is it?
It's actually the two models walking together from the left to the right. And that one just grabbed them apparently. And I got the email saying, congratulations, you're a jurist pick, and stay tuned to see whether, there's one of the higher awards. But when you look at those kinds of images, all of the elements, the background, the models, the location, the lighting, all of it kind of comes together. That may be the one right there. And in fact, I think that is the one that you've got up right now. So essentially, all the elements are there. And as a photographer, you just need to bring them together. And you're teaching the art direction adds that extra element. It's photography and art direction are linked, but they're not identical. And sometimes photographers they concentrate too much on the technical, and they lose the storyline. And the art direction helps bring out the storyline and links it with the photography. And that's one of the outstanding experiences that you consistently provide in these workshops.
Well, thank you. And I agree 1,000% on that. I mean, I think that that's absolutely key and critical. I love it. And Evan, congratulations on getting a juror selection of this image, because it is a breathtaking image. And I'm really proud of you, and I'm proud of everything you created with me, because you've created unbelievable award-winning images, like winning in the One Island Awards, and now you're getting International Photography Awards. And I recommend to send these images in to several different award companies. We could even give you a list, because I know you're going to win and just crush it from all the mind-blowing images you've been shooting at the workshops in the last couple of years, because it's been really astounding. And there's a few others that I personally am in love with that I'm not sure if you have which awards you've submitted these to yet, but a couple of these images that I'm really proud of, like this one. The lighting in this is just out of this world. The technical side, the creative side, the storytelling, the art direction here, it's an unbelievable double page spread. And I love the wardrobe and the models on this one. It's just breathtaking. And then this one as well. It is just on another level. This is Vogue quality, Evan. So I'm really, really impressed and proud of you. And I can't wait to see you, because we're going to be working at some more upcoming productions coming up that I'm really excited to see you at. and we're going to create some absolute magic together. But anyway, so thank you so much, Evan, for joining us. And if you have any words of advice for our photographers that are considering taking the workshops, now would be a great time to mention it.
Well, I will mention it. In the interest of time, I'll be brief. I think that it would be a disservice if you're a serious photographer in any of these areas of concentration, not to at least try out a full workshop. I've never taken anything less than the full 5 days or 4.5 days. And I've benefited by each section and segment, including the studio, as well as the on location and the business part of it as well. I haven't been the greatest marketer of myself, I think. I'm not a shy person, but I think I haven't been the greatest marketer of myself. And Kevin and Priscilla and the others have really been very helpful in getting me some more visibility, but also encouraging me to get these images out there. And so I would say that it's a very worthwhile investment to take these workshops, and they're all very different. They have similar approaches, but they're all very different. There's never really duplication. I have not had any duplication of images out of all the workshops I've taken with you, Kevin. So.
Well, and that's impressive because you've done a ton. I mean, you've done so many. I mean, you've come to Newport Beach a couple of times. You've come to the masterclass. You've come to New York. You've come to Vegas. You've done, and the thing is for photographers like Evan, it's really important to me that every experience is vastly different than the next, so that they can create a whole new storyline, whole new experience. And sometimes there are locations that I'm just like so in love with that I do want to go back to. But when we do, we shoot something completely different, something that's just on another planet as far as, what the story is. And that gets me excited because I do get a lot of requests for some of these amazing locations to come back to. So it gets me really excited to create and to make these happen. And an image like this, Evan, is just, I mean, it's iconic, it's gorgeous, it's stunning, it's absolutely out of this world. We shot this out in Long Island on the last day of the workshop, and I was really proud of what you were able to create there. Anyway, so Evan, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate all your words of advice and also, of course, your incredible images. And congratulations on getting jury selection on that amazing image on the rooftop.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate it. I'm very honored.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thanks, Evan, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Excellent. Well, that was a pleasure to have Evan on. He's an amazing human being, amazing person, and great photographer. I'd also, I want to invite the great Brad Derry on. He's taken a workshop with us in Newport Beach a couple of years ago. I know he's a world-class photographer in his own right, and I'm really excited to have him back on as a panelist to talk about his experience. And guys, also, there's I have a poll up about how likely you would be to enroll in the New York Photographic Workshop experience. So if you see, and by the way, the images that you guys are seeing in the Dropbox are straight out of camera. These are images that are unbelievable. They're not like massive retouching and stuff like that. These are images that were just created by Evan. And if there is any retouching, it's very minimal. These are images that are just stunning, absolutely incredible, because of the level of production, the world-class photography, and then just beautiful iconic sequencing. Like this is another one that I'm in love with, Evan. This is just breathtaking. So Brad, whenever you get a chance, I'd love for you to jump back on and be a panelist, the great Brad Derry. And I also want to hear from the great Priscilla Evans as well, my production coordinator that helped make all this magic happen by bringing in the falconer for this sequence, as well as owls, as well as eagles, as well as this, in the last couple of years, we've shot with reindeer, Bactrian camels that are the size of an elephant, to probably... We've shot with over 40 horses at all these different locations, from unbelievable rearing horses, dappled horses, to lipizans, to anything you can imagine, to alpacas, baby goats. We've shot from puppies to, it's just unbelievable the kind of amazing animals that we brought in, even Highland cows. It's pretty spectacular, and it kind of adds that extra little special sauce to the production. I mean, it's not already over the top enough. I love it that Priscilla takes it to another level with what she brings on. So Brad, when you get a chance, I'd love for you to jump on. In the meantime, Priscilla, we'd also love to hear from you and your perspective, because you are one of the masters behind making all this magic happen as well. Brad, are you there? You want to pop on?
I'm here.
There you are. Perfect.
I don't know why my picture's not coming up. It says it's.
All right. I will, let me just change something here. Let's see if that.
Okay, there we go.
There he is. There's that good-looking guy. Okay, so Brad, now you've taken a workshop with us a couple of years ago. I'd love to hear from you about what your experience was like working with us. Now you came to an advertising photography workshop. It was more lifestyle-driven in California than the high fashion. But why don't you tell us a little bit about your experience working with us at the photography workshop series?
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and it totally opened a new window to a new business for me, because I'm primarily a video guy. I've been in the video business for 20 years, and I've always been a photographer, but not professionally. And I've always played with the idea of wanting to get into photography as well as video. And your class was going to be my jumping off point to going there. And boy, did I pick the right guy. I mean, it was just so amazing, the quality of the models and the whole setup of your of the shoot was just it was really, as you would say, epic. It was totally epic and mind blowing. So it really gave me a great start in pursuing a degree in photography to add to my videography profession.
Fantastic, fantastic. Was there a certain thing or sequence that you loved more than anything? Or I believe it was this production that you attended. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, it was the Newport Beach, July 2020.
Excellent, excellent. So right in the midst of COVID and all that, and you experienced this one. And now this is an interesting scene because it's very dynamic, multiple models in the scene. I feel like I'm inside of the scene with the models. And there's a lot of storytelling going on. Tell me about that, as far as, because you're a video guy, so storytelling is everything. And by the way, this was filmed, so we did a ton of video on this. Tell me about that experience, as far as the art direction and some of the nuances with the lifestyle storytelling.
Yeah, well, it was so much fun. The models, of course, are very professional, and being professional, they can do their own thing or they listen to you. You can tell them exactly what you want them to do, and they actually do it. And I always tried to give them a theme to think about as they were, performing for the camera, and give them an idea instead of just do this or do that. I give them a theme, and they worked with that very, very well. I got to say, my favorite part of the whole experience was the boxing girls, so the boxing blondes in the bedroom. That was so much fun to film, and those pictures have gotten a lot of great reaction, from the people I show them to. Yeah, there we go. That's it.
Yeah, I agree. You know what, Brad? Of all the sequences we shot on that week, this was actually one of my absolute favorite sequences myself. And I'm glad that you mentioned it, because what I love about this is that it's authentic. It's real. It's fun. The girls are having the time of their life, and they actually were doing it. They were actually boxing. They're actually hitting each other and wrestling and throwing each other down. And the models really made that happen.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, you can't fake that. When the models are really having fun and they're really into it and they just can't stop laughing, it's just such a natural way to shoot. And you just get iconic photos that way. It's unmistakable.
Excellent. So that was your favorite sequence. Now, going forward with what you're going to do coming up, because now you've got all this amazing content you shot with us at one of the workshops. I know you're looking at doing some more. What is it that you want to achieve in your photography and video career going forward in 2022 into 2023?
Yeah, well, lifestyle photography really interests me a lot. fashion would be fine, but to me, lifestyle is more fun, more energetic, and it's something that I would like to do more than any of the others. Also, I really wanted to do the shoot in Miami, the Miami Beach shoot. So I'm, squirreling away some money for that, and hopefully next year I'll be able to attend.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, Miami is world class, and for anybody that's into swim photography, shooting swim, shooting lifestyle, it's a combination of both swim and lifestyle. And by the way, these are all images shot at that workshop that Brad was at in Newport Beach, and it was really exceptional on that workshop. Now, I'm glad you mentioned Miami, because Miami is very different than a lot of the other workshops that we do. It has a whole section on swim where we are shooting with top supermodels that have been in Sports Illustrated, Victoria's Secret. This girl was a Playboy cover model. We had guest models. We had girls who were Miss Brazil. We have some of the best models in the world. This was shot on location in Key Largo at a private mansion estate, and we shot swim photography that was on another level. So at the Miami Beach workshop, we have the opportunity, because we're going to shoot a couple of days lifestyle and then a couple of days swim. So it's kind of split. And it's great because even if you are a resort lifestyle photographer, shooting swim and doing swim lifestyle can also work really well. In fact, I use this content, this video that you're watching right now, in my lifestyle video reel for my Indigo Productions company reel. So some of that content, even on the swim days, are actually really good for your lifestyle body of work. And then also doing resort lifestyle is really valuable as well. But these were all shot this year. Unbelievable models that were on another level. So fun to work with. And you get to see and feel that experience with these girls. In fact, I love these models so much, I even flew them into the Virginia workshop because they were so incredible to work with. We brought them in for the next workshop in Virginia because they were just so amazing. This is more of on the lifestyle day, where it's kind of a lifestyle swim section. And this is something that, I feel would be a really great, right here, this would be a really great body of work for you, Brad, and for many of the photographers.
Yeah, I'd love to have that in my portfolio. That'd be wonderful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we have now Miami Beach is sold out every year. It has been for the last decade that we've been doing it. So this is one that if you do want to do this one, this is another one of our most popular workshops, obviously, because it's Miami Beach or shooting supermodels. It happens in April of 2023. We just do it once a year. And we're shooting with on-the-ground cameras. We're shooting with aerial drone with 120 frames a second Mavic 3s. And then we're shooting with R5s on gimbals that are shooting in 8K. And then we're also shooting with the incredible underwater cameras on some of them as well when we have the opportunity to shoot with underwater. So, so guys, if you're interested in any of these amazing photographic experiences, listening to the great Brad Derry, as well as amazing Evan Siegel, it's great to hear from you guys. And thank you so much, Brad. And I cannot wait to see you at some of the upcoming experiences, because we've got so many amazing productions coming up that having you on board, Brad, it's going to be absolutely wonderful. This is also on one of the swim days. This was actually shot this year on one of the swim days, and Priscilla Evans, who's joining us next, was my production coordinator, helped me maximize and shoot this. We shot this on location in Key Biscayne on one of the swim days with these supermodels that were, some of the best swim models in the world. And it was absolutely out of this world. So thank you so much, Brad. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see you in Miami next.
Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. All right. And okay, so Priscilla, now I know you've been also in the Q&A helping answering some of the questions and stuff. We had a lot of great questions from our amazing photographers. And I know that some of the photographers are already signing up for New York, and they're also looking at Miami. They're also looking at Las Vegas and stuff. Now, Priscilla, why don't you tell me, because you've been to the New York experience yourself, you helped produce it, you helped create these mind-blowing images in New York. And part of the magic of what we're creating all comes down to production. So why don't you tell me a little bit about, and why don't you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about, why the production in New York is so special and why our photographers really should be a part of it.
Yeah, hey guys, it's wonderful to be on. And yeah, I've been a production coordinator with Kevin with the photography workshop series, as well as with some of Kevin's shoots for other different campaigns. He does a lot of fashion advertising campaigns too for all sorts of brands. It just depends on who you are, where you're wanting to go, but honestly we do have something for everyone. But we get to have a huge amount of fun producing these insane productions all around the world. If there's not the team in that location, we'll bring the team in. So when we get the budgets that we're very lucky to work with, we're able to basically create anything anywhere, and we really do maximize those budgets. We get a lot out of them. I know Brad was just talking about potentially Miami, and Miami this year especially, I feel like was a really action-packed workshop. We got a lot of content in that. I think it was something ridiculous, like 60 swimsuits for just one of the swim days or something, or 2 of the swim days, and we got through all of them. So we got a lot of content out of each of these experiences, and we really make sure that when it's a fashion editorial or a high fashion experience like New York, we're making sure that we get as much value out of the wardrobe, the locations, the models, and all of the animals and every extra detail that we get to bring in. So it really just depends on what you as the photographer want. We do shape every single workshop around the requests that we have. So if you head over to our website and you look at the New York workshop page, for example, you'll see that there is a white couture gown as one of the images that a photographer shot when she was in New York a couple of years ago. And it's not a bridal workshop, but we did have that year, a wedding photographer attend, and she said, could we have some white couture gowns? So we added that in. It's something that works for everyone, but that image, if you can find it, Kevin, it's pretty special. That one was the front cover of New York City. I think it was Vintage New York City magazine. So, pretty impactful. We do get a lot of coverage. Yeah, here it is. And I mean, that is something, it obviously works very well for the bridal, photographer, but it works just as well if you're a high fashion photographer, if you're wanting to be a fashion advertising photographer, or if you shoot absolutely anyone, anything in between that, if it's product, if it's, if it's portrait. That's the kind of image that if you've got that as even a print promo piece for your clientele, and you're showcasing that around your local, rural community, if that's where you're based, and you're taking that and leaving that as a print promo piece in your doctor's offices and in the local, businesses in town where the kind of clientele that, you might be seeking might be found, that image is impactful. It's eye-catching, it's impressive, and it's gorgeous, and it certainly leaves an impact. It justifies a higher price point, no matter who your clientele are, and it definitely gets them excited. And I think for everyone who is out there busy shooting, we need those conversations, those new engaging images to be able to spark an interest and create something memorable for the clientele that you've got now, but also the prospective clientele in the future. So we get to play around with these incredible budgets to create absolute magic. And if you are specifically after a certain element, if it's a surprise element, an animal, vintage cars, if it's a campaign you're angling to land or you'd love to land in the future, we can incorporate that into just about any workshop. We're not, doing the workshops for some other client. You guys are the client. So we build them around exactly what you want for your brand, what's going to help you land the next big opportunity. And, New York is such a gorgeous one. It's such a classical, photography experience, and such a classical experience in a fashion sense. It really is like the basis of where everything else comes from, in terms of lighting and working with the best of the best models in the industry, and adding a national flavor to your brand. And, certainly images like this with the New York skyline, a lot of the photographers I work with, I'm often coaching them on, especially if they're not necessarily based in New York, but, no matter where they're based, if they want to promote themselves as, a New York fashion photographer who just happens to be based in, whatever rural community they're in, or area outside of New York, then that's the kind of image that totally justifies that. You have that as your, front image on the portfolio on the website, along with a video reel. And if you've got, those elements paired together, incredible production value, multiple model scenes, all of those things that make for a lot of, wow, and just those dazzling moments with the clients, then you really can justify charging more, doing more, and certainly aiming and landing, the higher tier clientele, should you want to be, reaching further. And, with the current clientele, I mean, these kind of images get them so excited. My recommendations for photographers with this kind of content that are wanting to shoot more and earn more, it's always, incorporate this into the conversations with the clientele, promote it, incentivize them, get them excited about sending you referrals, and then, also be using this in print promo, e-promo pieces, market it like crazy. And as Evan, was saying, we really, really encourage photographers to do that and to market themselves and this content as much as possible. And if that becomes a conversation about, hey, Priscilla, can you help me, proof this campaign or this bid for a campaign? We do that too. So the workshop isn't just what you get as well. And that was something I wanted to add to what Kevin said, with the different packages and the different investments, they all come with unlimited coaching, which is pretty huge. And I think that it's something that has a lot more value than, often, it's given credit for, because that can mean literally, we've had photographers taking workshops 13 years ago. If they're approaching, a campaign, or if they're approaching, maybe attempting to land one, if they're dealing with ad agencies and they're wanting guidance on the conversations, maybe the verbiage to use and the nuances to touch on in the conversations with those decision makers, we can help with that. We can help with the email conversations, with how to maybe add value to those conversations. Maybe if it's your first time landing a campaign of a certain scale, 5-6 figures, maybe bringing Kevin on board so that, actually it can justify an even higher budget for the client, and also can help, ease the transition into that higher tier clientele that you might be landing. So the unlimited coaching includes a lot, and it really includes as much as you want it to include. If you want it to be regular weekly, fortnightly sessions, we can make it that. If you want it to be, call us no matter which time zone and country that, our production team is in at that time, no worries. We're pretty much, available at all times. So the portfolio is where it starts, but the coaching really does take it well into the future in terms of the benefit to you and the benefit to the business.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Priscilla. And as you can see, we're looking at these images now, and they're extremely impressive. And a lot of this is because of you. Why do you feel like the production, when you add in animals and you add in these top dresses, unbelievable designer dresses and supermodels, how do you feel like that really adds to the photographer's portfolio rather than them just going out and doing a portfolio shoot on their own?
Yeah, I mean, the trouble with portfolio shoots is that those agencies are going to be sending you inexperienced models. They're going to be sending you models that don't yet have the reputation to be recognizable by the prospective clientele that you might be approaching. That could be, creative directors, it could be ad agencies, anyone that's looking at those images that regularly does that in the industry. They know the names, they know the faces. And I've heard stories, Kevin and I have both heard on many occasions, oh, wow, like Velena Paterba, like, how did you get her in your book? Like, what's the story there? And it's a real conversation starter, which is powerful, if you're angling for opportunities in, particularly in the New York scene, where those names and faces are very recognizable. And yeah, I mean, that for starters, you're accessing all of the contacts, all of the ability for us to bring on models of that echelon, of that kind of, with that gravitas. And it's very, very impressive to people looking at the portfolio, and they see that. The wardrobe as well. I mean, it's very, to a trained eye, it's very obvious what was a very big production and what was not, from a portfolio. And a lot of the time photographers get attached to their portfolios. Oh, there was a great story around this image, and, that's why I have it in there. It means a lot to me. And that's great. It's not to say that you shouldn't be, having that image framed on the wall, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to leave the right impression and leave the right impact, on the person that you're talking about it, with at, say, I don't know, the marketing manager, if you're going direct, with, different ad agencies, or with, say, Dior, or even a healthcare campaign, even if it's health insurance or a bank, they all understand the production value that they can see in an image, often better than we think they can. And when you add all of the elements together, incredible wardrobe, and it's top tier, it really does reflect huge production value, huge budgets, then that's what you're basically telling them that, you know, you're worth. And you're already starting the conversation about budget with that prospective client before you've even said anything. As soon as they open the book, you know, or they see the website, they're already thinking numbers, and that's ticking over. So it really is powerful. It can be the difference in an extra zero or an extra couple of zeros on that budget. And that's, you know, really, really life transformational. If you think about it, and the impact that, you know, what doubling, tripling, you know, or, you know, even further than that, you know, the money that you're currently bringing in, the revenue from the business, that can be a big difference in your lifestyle. It can mean shooting less and earning more, which means being more creative and having more fun on those shoots rather than being drained. And yeah, definitely, we don't hold back. You know, we put everything into these productions. And yeah, if we have any energy left at the end of those 5-day experiences, then we haven't done our job. So we put everything into them. We'll happily incorporate absolutely anything that is a request, you know, from our photographers and our attendees. And, you know, obviously you're seeing here a fabulous selection of photography, but the videography as well is really world class. And it's something that I actually recommend photographers put almost above the portfolio on their websites, because these days it's such a necessity, you know, when landing any opportunities. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily be an expert at filming it yourself, but it does mean that you can offer video, bring on a videographer for those future opportunities, mark up and take a piece of video, and be in control of more of the budget, which is ultimately, you know, power.
Exactly. And this is an example of a video reel. This is my video reel. And what's interesting about this is that over half of the content on here is actually from the photographic workshops that we produce, between workshops in New York, LA, Miami, Newport Beach, all over the country, in addition to all the celebrity content, the TV show content, and other, you know, broadcast commercials. But it mixes in well. And this is something where I'm so proud of what we shoot at the workshops that I'm including it in the reel right alongside my television content, as well as celebrity content. Now, Priscilla, you've been an absolute joy, and you've been the superstar behind so much of the world-class content in the last few years of the workshop series. Now, going forward, we have some insane productions, not only coming up in New York this September, but also at the Elite Masterclass in October. Absolutely mind-blowing. I'm so excited about everything we have coming up. We even were able to arrange some of the most mind-blowing locations, including one of my favorite locations from last year, which is insane. It's the CAF with the incredible 1940s fighter jets, and it is out of this world. We also have lifestyle workshops like you guys saw earlier, and you can see here on this reel, but that Brad Derry attended and Evan Siegel attended in February in Newport Beach. We also have experiences that happening coming up in March in the Las Vegas, where the high fashion content in Las Vegas that you guys got to see, as well as in fact, we just published. Not only did we win some of the awards in the One Island Awards, but we also got the cover and a 40-page editorial from the Las Vegas workshop this year that we shot out in the desert on cracked earth with camels and horses, and it was absolutely insane. So this came out at the cover of number 8 magazine. Congratulations to those photographers that attended. So every single photographic workshop that we directed over the last 10 years has been published in a magazine. Many of them have also gotten covers. So that's really, really exciting. And thanks to people like Priscilla that make all this magic happen. April, we have our Miami Beach workshop on resort lifestyle and swimsuit photography. And that is something that is very different, very unique, and something that it's very dear to our heart as far as putting that together, because we just do it once a year, and it is one of the most favorite photographic workshops because it's always sold out. It's one of the most incredible experiences that we do offer because of the level of models down there in Miami Beach and the storytelling that we do down in places like Key Biscayne and Key Largo. So Miami Beach is completely out of this world. We also, following Miami, we have our Virginia workshop in May that's going to be on lifestyle advertising, which is the most lucrative form of all photography. And we're flying in top models, just like we did this year. We flew them in from New York, LA, and Miami down to Virginia for the most insane production imaginable, to rival what we do actually in California. And then we have, following that in June, we have our Chicago Mad Men vintage style fashion story along with lifestyle advertising. And in June, and then in September, we will be at my French castle, the 49-room 13th century castle in France, where you actually get to stay and shoot supermodels from Milan and Paris in France, which is going to be something that's out of this world. And it's something that I'm really excited to present. Well, Priscilla, thank you so much for joining us. And I am really grateful to all of you guys who joined on, including the great Evan Siegel, and as well as Brad Derry. I cannot wait to see you guys at some of these upcoming workshop experiences. We have some stuff that is on a whole nother level of production, and each workshop and each year we try to outdo everything that we've done in the past. And it's become absolutely insane. And that's why the scale and the level of production that we offer is at such a level that it's almost incomparable. We're shooting at higher levels than any of some of the biggest magazines out there, and we're shooting at advertising level photography that, where it's equivalent of $100,000 a day production. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And I cannot wait to see you guys at any of our upcoming experiences. And if you want to join New York and take that last spot in New York, definitely hit us up right after this. Schedule a one-on-one photographic momentum session with one of our photographic consultants, whether it's Priscilla or Anne or someone else from our team. And you can jump on and join them personally and get some guidance, mentorship, and coaching going forward in your photographic career. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And I can't wait to see you guys at these upcoming experiences. Take care.